ready to present at the getting ready to start the peak performance. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live, where today we're going to talk about my famous cold calling tips. So what makes my tips so famous? Well, it's because I keep getting asked so many times over and over, why are my cold calling statistics so much higher than everyone else? If I can get that direct person on the line with me, that decision maker, 50% of the time and higher, I'll book the appointment. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to say hello to Kirsten. Good afternoon, Kirsten. Thank you for popping on. And Randy is on too. Oh my gosh, my friend Randy is on. Howdy, Randy. Glad to see you. And Kristen says, they're famous because they work. They do. And Kristen knows because she uses my cold calling tips. Now, the first thing about cold calling is the reason why I happen to love cold calling is because if you are not comfortable doing phone work, you really need to embrace cold calling. Cold calling does a couple of things. It causes you to listen to the buyer, and it actually helps you how to have a better sales conversation when you go and sell at the appointment. The listening skills and how to have a better sales conversation will absolutely be enhanced when you cold call. So let me get into the first cold calling tip. And I really think this is the most important tip, and that's your tone. As a matter of fact, in today's day 30 of Keep It Classy, I talk about tone. Your tone is so important when you're cold calling because you can either cause that buyer to listen closer to you because of the tone you're using, or you can repel that buyer and cause them to hang up or her to hang up by the tone of your voice. Your tone should always be relaxed, casual, but using professional words. So I always pretend when I pick up that phone to make a cold call that I'm calling one of my friends. First of all, mentally, it puts me in more of a relaxed state, and it causes me to be very casual when I'm talking. So the tone is absolutely important when you're, when you're on the phone. So the second important thing is your introduction, how you present yourself over the phone. In my coaching practice, most people are way too wordy. They say too much and they talk too fast in that initial introduction. It should only be about 3 or maybe 4 sentences at the most. So let me give you an example. I'm just going to do this off the top of my head here. I would say, if I was cold calling Randy, I would say something like, "Hello, Randy. This is Christine with XYZ Company. We develop widgets to make your business more efficient. Randy, are you still in charge of the purchasing of widgets?" Okay, so let me break that down. "Hello, Randy. This is Christine with XYZ Company." First of all, there I don't know who came up with this, but I have heard salespeople not say their name and not say their company name. You always identify who you are and who you're with, because the goal in this whole cold calling practice is to develop trust and rapport. Well, you don't develop trust if you're trying to hide who you are. So always say your name. And if you have one of those names that's difficult to pronounce, I want to encourage you to somehow shorten your name so that the caller isn't saying, "What did you say your name is? What was that again?" Because when you have a difficult name to say, people will have a tendency just to hang up because they can't understand you. So I want to encourage you, if you have one of those names, either shorten your name or just using your first name only. My name is fairly easy, Christine Harrington. So oftentimes when I call, I will say my full name. I'm Christine Harrington with XYZ Company. So you always want to be very transparent. The next part of that introduction is a short value prop. What does your company do that will help buyers? Okay, it has to be very specific to the buyer. And I think I said we create widgets to help businesses with their efficiency or something like that. See, that's a very short value proposition that tells the buyer what it is that you can do for them. And then the next part is asking a closed question. And you ask a closed question because you want to warm the person up to talking to you. Now, a closed question could be, are you still in charge of purchasing? Or Chris Voss recommends that you say, is this a bad time to talk? Now, I've used both scenarios. Let me get a drink. I've used both scenarios. And 9 times out of 10, when I say, is this a bad time to talk? If they say, yes, it is, which is rarely, I got to tell you, it's rare they say that. They'll come back with, I can talk later today. And then I'll secure a time that's best for them. Then I'll call back. Why is that? Why does that work? Okay, so here's the philosophy, the psychology, I should say, behind why Chris Voss says that works. Because people, when they say the word yes, it causes them to think they've made a commitment somehow. So if you say something like, is this a good time to talk? They'll have a tendency to say no instead of yes. So you reverse engineer it and say, is this a bad time to talk? Now they can say no, because now, no, it's not a bad time to talk. They don't feel like psychologically they're committing to anything. So that's why Chris Voss says using the negative oftentimes is a better way to mix up that disruption in their brain to hang up. Because remember, you only have 4 to 5 seconds to gain their attention. That's it. In that 4 to 5 seconds, they are trying to decide, do they really want to talk to you, or do they just want to hang up on you? Your tone will cause them to want to listen. You can either open that door with your tone, or you can just shut it down with that tone. if you sound too aggressive or you're talking too fast, like, "Hi, Randy, this is Christine with XYZ Company. We build widgets to help make more businesses efficient." Randy, are you still the right person to talk to? Now, I have heard salespeople go that fast when they talk. It's crazy. You want to slow it down so that they can keep up with you and listen, because in their brain, they're thinking, who is this? Have I talked to them before? What do they want? So that's why if you slow your pace down to, "Hi, Randy, this is Christine with XYZ Company. We build widgets to help businesses be more efficient. Are you still over purchasing?" And Randy will say yes or no. Uh, or Randy may say, I just don't have time to talk right now. I've got another comment on here. "No argument on your theme and suggestions. I would be sure not to say make your company efficient. That might trigger some hint of criticism, defense. I agree on the bad time. Used it yesterday. Prospect put his work down and we spoke. Words are important. People do hear them because they are being defensive." Absolutely. And I was just talking off the top of my head, but you are right. Be sure to say not, let's see, I would be sure not to say make your company efficient. That might trigger some hint of criticism and defense. Yes, I agree with that. So thank you for that. And again, I was just speaking off the top of my head. When I do my own cold calling for my own business, I say something like, "Hi, Jim. This is Christine with the Savvy Sales Lady. We shorten the learning curve and accelerate sales through sales coaching. Are you still the sales manager for your sales team?" Or I might say, "Is this a bad time to talk?" So, and other cold calling businesses that I absolutely cold call for, I use their value prop as well. So, now I forgot what I was talking about. Tone. That's right. So you can either cause the listener to want to continue to listen to you by your tone of voice, or you can cause them not to listen because you sound maybe too aggressive or too strong. Now, along with that, when you're talking, you have to talk confidently. So you can't sound wimpy or too soft in your tone of voice. You have to take a deep breath and talk confidently and strongly. So the intro is the most critical part in the whole conversation because they'll either want to listen or they won't. Okay. Now, when you get into the body of the conversation, let's say that, they have said to you, "This is a bad time to talk," and you then say back to them, "Thank you for letting me know." If they ever say to you, "This is not a good time to talk," or I was just getting ready to leave for a meeting," that's real life. You hear that all the time. I always say back, "Thank you for letting me know. How is," and then I ask an open-ended question based on their business, on what I want to learn from their business to try to uncover their pain point. But remember, the whole key in cold calling is not to sell. And that gets so confusing for salespeople. The whole point in cold calling is to book the appointment so you can go in to that appointment having a sales conversation. Now, I understand this will not work for everybody. Some people are expected to sell during that cold call. And I'm not I understand that, and you have to do that. But for the majority of people that are cold calling, they're only cold calling to set the appointment in order to have a sales conversation at that appointment. So when you're setting appointments through cold calling, keep that in mind and refrain from answering questions if they say, well, what's your price about this? Or what's, how do you work? How do you implement your process? I would say back to them, those are all really good questions, and I'm happy to answer all of that in great detail when we're at our appointment. Looking at next week, what's best for you? Would Monday be better in the afternoon, or is morning better for you? So your point is to get them nailed down to an appointment in order to close that call. The other thing, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. And then after you close that appointment up, you're going to, two things you can do. You can either email them the Zoom invitation or the appointment invitation if you're doing it face to face that moment. Ask them for their email address. And then I always say, could you check your email real quick? I want to make sure that I wrote down your email correctly, because I'll be honest, everyone, I have written down emails incorrectly. So I verify it. When I've got them on the phone, I'll verify it and I'll send them an email with an invitation right then and there. So I don't know if you all do that in one call or not. Another way you can do it is send them the invitation right when you get off the call. So let's say today is Tuesday. You've booked the appointment for Friday. So that's Wednesday and Thursday that's in between. I would reach out to them Friday morning, send them a reminder email that the appointment is coming up. Now, I've heard people say they don't want to do that because they don't want a cancellation. Well, I would much rather have a cancellation than show up and them not be there. So I think, and all I just say is this is just a courtesy reminder of our appointment today at 1 p.m. That's all I do. And then I'll end by saying, hopefully, no, I don't do that. That's scratch that, hopefully. I just end it by saying, see you at 1 p.m. I was going about ready to say an email campaign that I use quite often when I'm prospecting, and I'll share that with you another day. So the whole point of cold calling is only to make the appointment. Now we are coming up on 20 minutes, and there's a lot more I can say about cold calling. I just wanted to give you some of my best tips when cold calling, and my cold calling results are high because of these tips that I have given you. I don't sell on the appointment. I only book the appointment. So that's my only goal. I make sure my tone when I pick up that phone to call, I pretend I'm talking to a friend. I use casual, friendly tones, but professional words. I don't ever call anyone dude or sugar or hun. I don't use any of that slang. Be very professional in your words. The other thing I wanted to announce is I am working on a cold calling course that goes into, well, I want to mention this. Let me back up. I'm a big script user. I write out scripts all the time when I'm cold calling. I don't take the script and read it verbatim. It's a guide only. The reason why I am so big into scripts is because I have coached salespeople, heard their calls, heard their Zoom meeting calls and they ramble all over the place. The script gives you a guideline and keeps the conversation tight and concise and moving. The last thing you want to do is start to ramble on and on. That's why I'm a big script believer. So I'll practice a script 15 or 20 times over and over and over again before I actually pick up the phone and call. And I also practice out loud because I want to warm up my voice so that I sound stronger and stronger every time I say the script out loud. After I have recorded it and listened to it, I then pick up the phone and start calling. Once I'm satisfied with the way I sound, I pick up the phone and start calling. And I want to encourage everyone to do the very same thing. So in your cold calling, practice, practice, practice. I can't say that enough. So I'm doing an in-depth cold calling course that I'll be offering on my website, and it's coming up soon. I've been working on it for 6 months. Oh my gosh, I've had to change platforms because the other platform wasn't able to do what I really wanted to do. So that was a chore. And hopefully I'll be able to announce that in the next couple of months that it'll be live on my website. So next week we have a guest lined up that I'll be announcing either Friday or Monday. And watch for my next series on selling old school, because my success came from selling old school. And I want to teach all of the people that are under age, I would say 40 to 35, how to sell old school because it still works today. So remember, sales is a journey, not a quick trip around the block. And I appreciate you all for watching. And Kirsten comes back on and says, that will be awesome. Can't wait for that. Thank you, Kirsten. I'll let you know for sure. So, all right, everyone. Bye-bye.